Hi everyone, welcome to the full walkthrough of the Multi-Year Bookkeeping System. My name is Jessie and I'm a CPA with over 15 years of financial reporting experience. I built this template specifically for small business owners who want a complete financial system without the cost or complexity of an accounting software. You may notice your template looks slightly different from what you see in this walkthrough. This tutorial covers all variations of the Multi-Year Bookkeeping System, including different color themes and built-in chart of accounts versions. So don't worry, you're in the right place. Before we dive in, I also recommend reviewing the README tab at the start of your template. It includes detailed written instructions for every section we cover here, and is a great reference as you get started. You can also check out the FAQ tab, which covers the most commonly asked questions. If you run into anything, it might already be answered there, and if not, you can always send me a message directly and I'll get back to you. One quick note before we begin. This template uses protected cells to prevent formulas from being accidentally overwritten. In Excel, protections are fully enforced and will prevent any accidental changes. You can unprotect individual sheets from the review menu if needed. In Google Sheets, you'll see a warning if you attempt to edit a protected cell. If that warning appears, simply click Cancel and enter data only in the designated input cells. With that, let's get started and go into the Inputs tab. This is where your setup begins, and you only need to do this once. Start with your business or company name. I've entered Clarity Consulting Company as my example. Next, enter your currency symbol. You can copy and paste your preferred symbol directly into the cell. I've used the $sign. Feel free to replace it with whatever currency you use. Then we enter your start year and start month. Since this is a multi-year template, your start year is simply the first year you begin using it. You'll continue using the same file year after year without starting over. Your start month defaults to January. You only need to change it if your fiscal year differs from the calendar year. For example, if your fiscal year runs May to April, you'd enter May as your start month. You'll see a red helper note right there that explains exactly how the fiscal year works. For this demonstration, I'll be using January 2025 as my start date, so I can show you the full multi-year functionality with several years of data already built up. Next, pick a name for your profit and loss statement from the drop-down menu. And finally, you'll notice the Helper Notes toggle. Helper Notes appear throughout the workbook with this little pencil and paper symbol. They're there to give you quick guidance on each section and tell you which cells are input cells. If you want a cleaner view for printing or presentations, you can hide all of them at once. Check the box in Google Sheets or type Yes in Excel. You can turn them back on anytime and they'll always be there when you need them. Now let's move to section 1.2, Account Setup. This is where you tell the template where your money lives. You can add up to 10 accounts, any accounts where you deposit income and pay expenses from. This includes bank accounts, credit cards, savings accounts, payment processors like Square and Stripe, and even loans, anything you want to track cash flow for. Enter the account name and your opening balance as of your template start date. So in this example, since I started in January 2025, I enter my balances as of January 1st, 2025. Bank accounts and assets are entered as positive values. Credit cards and loans are entered as negative values. Now let's move to section 1.3, which is your chart of accounts setup. This is one of the most powerful features of the template, and it works very similarly to a professional accounting software. In section 1.3, you define your main categories. You have up to 15 income categories and 15 expense categories. Keep these broad and high level. Things like service revenue, cost of goods sold, salaries and payroll, and general and administrative. These are your top-line reporting categories that show on your dashboards and profit and loss statement. In section 1.4, you assign your subcategories. You have up to 75 subcategories in total, and each main category must have at least one assigned. Subcategories give you the detailed tracking, and they automatically roll up into their main category for all your reporting. If you purchased an industry-specific or custom version of this template, your chart of accounts may already be pre-populated with recommended categories. That's completely intentional. It's my recommended starting structure for your type of business. Feel free to remove anything that doesn't apply to you and add new ones as you need them. Let's go through an example. I'll click the drop-down in section 1.4, and you can see all my main income categories have populated automatically from section 1.3. I'll select Service Revenue and now type Implementation Services as my subcategory. You can see I already have Strategy Consulting, Training and Workshops, and Ongoing Support Retainer. All of these will roll up into the single Service Revenue category on your profit and loss and dashboards. This allows your reports to stay clean at the top level while all the detail is captured underneath. On the right side, we have expenses, which work the same way, so I won't go through it in detail. A few important rules before we move on. Number 1, any main categories from section 1.3 won't flow into the transaction log until section 1.4 is completed. If your main categories don't have any subcategories, you can simply repeat the main category name as the subcategory. So for example, I'll select Other Income from the drop-down menu and then type Other Income as the subcategory. Number 2, subcategory names must be unique across the entire workbook. If you enter a duplicate, both cells will highlight and you'll need to rename one. Number 3, once you start entering transactions, don't rename your categories or subcategories as it'll break the links throughout the template. There's an error check in the transaction log that catches accidental changes, and I'll show you that shortly. Number 4, you can always add new categories and subcategories at any time, even after you've started entering transactions, as long as you're within the limit of 15 main categories and 75 subcategories. And that's it! We're done with the Inputs tab. Now let's take a quick look at the Chart of Accounts tab. As indicated by the helper note in the top left, this tab requires no manual input. It's automatically generated from sections 1.3 and 1.4 of your Inputs tab. As you add or update your categories and subcategories there, they'll appear here instantly, organized by main category. Use it as a clean reference for your financial structure. Moving on to the Budget tab, which is your last setup tab, and it's an optional feature. You can set monthly net income targets for up to 10 years. Whichever year you input in this cell, the dates in this row will automatically update, and the corresponding year in the table will be highlighted. So when you're ready to set your 2026 budget, just input 2026 and the months update accordingly. Enter your net income targets as positive numbers and losses as negative numbers. This is an optional tab, but I do recommend using it. It flows into your dashboards and gives you a budget versus actual comparison each month. You don't need to fill in all 10 years up front. Just populate the current year and add future years when you get there. Now we're at the heart of the template, the transaction log. This is the most important tab and where everything begins. Every transaction you enter here will automatically flow into your profit and loss, all your dashboards, and account reconciliations. You only enter data in one centralized transaction log, and everything updates automatically across every tab. No separate tabs for data input, just one place for all your transactions, and the template does the rest. This section covers two things. First, I'll walk through manual transaction entry and explain every transaction type. So even if you plan to use the auto mapping feature, stay tuned because understanding the transaction types is essential regardless of how you enter your data. Then, after that, I'll walk through the auto mapping feature for those who want to import directly from their bank statement. Before I begin, a few important things to know. Number 1, don't insert or delete rows. The template has hidden formula columns that power the drop-downs and smart prompts. If you insert a row, those formulas won't carry through. The template is built with 10,000 rows, so you'll never run out of space. If you miss a transaction from a previous month, just add it below your current entries. Number 2, use this log as frequently as you need to, daily, weekly, or monthly, whatever works best for your business. The more current your log, the more accurate your reports will be throughout the year. Number 3, the gray cells on the far right are your smart prompt and error check columns. Don't edit them. If a warning pop-up appears, just click Cancel. Here's what these two features do for you. The smart prompt guides you through every transaction. Based on whatever transaction type you select, it'll tell you exactly which fields need to be completed. This ensures every transaction is accurate and nothing gets missed. The error check is your safety net. If you ever accidentally rename a category or subcategory in your Inputs tab, this will flag it immediately so you can fix it before it affects your reports. Now let's get started with manual entry and understanding all the fields. The three mandatory fields are date, description, and amount, and you'll notice the columns are ordered to match your bank statement CSV format, making it easy whether you're entering manually or importing. Let's start with the date. It must be a valid date. If it's not formatted correctly, a pop-up will appear right away. Next is the description. This is optional and just for your own record keeping or from your bank statement. Go ahead and type something that helps you identify the transaction later. Then the amount. Enter all amounts as positive values. The only exceptions are returns, discounts, or expense recoveries, which should be entered as negative values. Here, I will input $2,200. You'll also notice an optional sales tax field. If your business collects or pays sales tax, you can enter the rate directly here. One important thing to understand: the amount column should always reflect the total amount received or paid, including any applicable sales tax. The template works backwards from that gross total to automatically extract the tax amount and calculate the net amount. So for example, if I receive $2,200 from a customer, including 10% sales tax, I enter $2,200 as the amount and 10% as the rate. The template automatically extracts $200 in tax and shows $2,000 as the net amount. That net amount is what flows into your dashboards and profit and loss, not the gross, keeping your revenue reporting accurate. If sales tax doesn't apply to your business, simply leave the rate column blank and the full amount flows directly into your reports. You can also hide the sales tax columns entirely to keep the log clean. For this demonstration, I'll go ahead and leave the rate at 10%. Next, you see the auto mapping columns. I'll come back to these in a moment when we cover the auto mapping feature. For now, let's focus on completing this transaction manually. So let's go to the transaction type. This tells the template exactly where to put this transaction and how to treat it. There are 7 transaction types. The first 2 are income and expense, which directly affect your profit and loss. The remaining 5 are cash flow transaction types only and don't impact your net income. These are owner's contribution, owner's withdrawal, other deposit, other withdrawal, and transfer. Let's go through income and expense first, and then we'll move through the cash flow types. I'll go ahead and select income as the transaction type. Now you'll see the smart prompt has appeared. It's telling me I need to select a to account and a category and subcategory. The to account is where this income gets deposited. I'll select checking account. If a transaction hasn't been deposited into a specific account or you're not tracking cash flow, you can select no assigned account and the transaction will still flow into your dashboards and reports. I'll then select service revenue as my category and implementation services as my subcategory. Before I press enter, you'll notice the warning counter at the top is showing 1 issue. You must always clear this before reviewing any dashboards or reports. It's your completeness check. Once I press enter, you'll see both the smart prompt and the warning counter disappear. And that's it, the transaction is complete. Now let me quickly show you an expense. The process is very similar, but I'll go ahead and input $500 for office supplies and select expense as the transaction type. Now the only difference from income is that you select a from account instead of a to account since funds are being withdrawn. I'll select my from account and assign general and administrative as the category and office supplies as the subcategory, and that's it. Now let's go through the cash flow transaction types. None of these impact your net income, but they all affect your cash flow. Let's go through an owner's withdrawal first. I'll select owner's withdrawal and enter $2,500. The smart prompt tells me I only need to select a from account. This represents the account the cash is being withdrawn from. I'll select checking account, and the smart prompt clears, indicating the transaction is complete. You'll note that I did not need to select any category or subcategory, as these are only required for income and expense transaction types. Owner's deposit, and other withdrawal work exactly the same way, so I won't walk through any examples. Deposit transaction types require a to account only, and the withdrawal transaction types require a from account only. Use these for any cash movements that aren't owner transactions, for example, withdrawing petty cash or depositing a loan. Now let's move on to a transfer. This transaction type is used for moving money between your own accounts. I'll enter $1,000. Say I want to pay off my credit card. The Smart Prompt tells me I need both a from account and a to account. I'll select checking account as my from and credit card as my to. One thing worth noting, if you accidentally select the same account for both from and to, the warning will flag it immediately. Once you correct it, the Smart Prompt clears and the transaction is complete. The last thing I want to cover before we move on is the error check column. Here's a real example. Say we accidentally went into the Inputs tab and removed the S from Implementation Services. That small change breaks the link for every transaction logged to that subcategory. If I go back into the transaction log, you can see the error check has caught it immediately. There are now 47 errors flagged. Scrolling through, you can see exactly which rows are affected. You have two ways to fix it. Either go into each affected row and reselect the correct subcategory from the drop-down, or the easier option, just go back into the Inputs tab and add the S back. The moment you make that correction and come back to the transaction log, all errors clear automatically. This is why the error check is so valuable. It catches accidental changes before they silently affect your reports. Now let's talk about the auto mapping and bank import features. This is completely optional, but if you have recurring transactions like rent, payroll, or subscriptions, this will save you a significant amount of time every month. Before we jump into the auto mapping feature in the transaction log, let's first take a quick look at the Mapping Setup tab. This is where the magic happens. Every month, your bank generates a list of transactions with descriptions that are long, inconsistent, and sometimes hard to read. Things like Walmart 12345 Toronto, Ontario. The Mapping Setup tab lets you create keyword rules that the template uses to automatically recognize these descriptions and categorize them for you. You define the rule once and it runs automatically every time. Setting it up is simple. You enter a keyword in the description keyword column. This should match a word or phrase that appears consistently in your bank descriptions. For example, say we regularly purchase office supplies from Walmart. Here, I'll go ahead and type Walmart as my keyword. Then I'll assign expense as the transaction type, general and administrative as the category, and office supplies as the subcategory. And that's it. From that point forward, any transaction description containing the word Walmart will automatically populate the transaction type, category, and subcategory in your transaction log every time you paste your bank data. A couple of things worth knowing. Number 1, the keyword match is partial. So if your bank description says Walmart 12345 Toronto and your keyword is Walmart, it will still match. You don't need to enter the full description. Number 2, make sure your keyword is specific enough to avoid unintended matches. Here's a good example of why this matters. Say you have two types of transactions, one for Google Ads and one for Google Workspace. If your keyword is just Google, the template will match both descriptions to the first Google rule it finds in the Mapping Setup tab, which may not be what you intended. In that case, you would want to use Google Ads and Google Workspace as two separate and more specific keywords, so each one maps to the right category. For this demonstration, I will leave it as Google and show you what happens. Number 3, keywords are not case sensitive and you can add up to 1,000 rules. The more you set up front, the less manual work you'll need to do each month. Now let's head back to the transaction log and I'll show you exactly how this flows through when you paste your bank data. And if you want a more detailed walkthrough on importing your bank statement, I have a separate tutorial specifically for the CSV import file. So here I have pasted my bank data into the transaction log using Paste Special. And this is important. Always use Paste Special, then values only. Never a regular paste, as this can overwrite formatting and break formulas. You'll notice the auto mapping columns have already populated based on the rules we set up in the Mapping Setup tab. But let me show you something interesting. If we look at Google Ads and Google Workspace, both have been mapped to advertising. That's because both descriptions contain the word Google and it matched to the first Google rule in the Mapping Setup tab. So let me head back into the Mapping Setup and update the keywords. I'll change the first rule to Google Ads and the second to Google Workspace to make them more specific. Now, if I come back to the transaction log, you can see Google Workspace has automatically updated to cloud services as it should be. That's a great example of why specificity matters when setting up your keyword rules. Now let's scroll to the right. The smart prompt is telling us that the auto mapping feature has been enabled, and all we need to do is select a From account since these are all expenses. Since all of these transactions came from my credit card, I can select credit card for each row, and the transactions are complete. Now you'll notice one transaction did not auto-map, the Acme invoice. This is a one-off payment we don't use regularly, so we don't want to set up a mapping rule for it. This is exactly where the override functionality comes in. I'll go ahead and select the transaction type, category, and subcategory directly in the override columns, and the transaction is complete. The override functionality can be used in a few different ways. First, if you are entering transactions manually and not using the auto mapping feature at all, just use the override columns as your primary input. Second, for one-off transactions like this consulting invoice, where setting up a mapping rule doesn't make sense. You do have up to 1,000 mapping rules, but there's no need to use them on transactions that rarely repeat. And third, it can be used to override a specific auto-mapped transaction. For example, Walmart is set up to map to office supplies since that's what we buy there most of the time. But say one month you went to Walmart and purchased postage instead. You can simply select in the override columns for that specific row and select postage and shipping without changing your mapping setup rule for every other Walmart transaction. The template decides which value to use. If the override column is filled in, it will always use the override value. If the override is blank, it will use the auto-mapped value. And if both are blank, the smart prompt will flag it and ask you to complete one of them. This logic lives in the hidden effective columns, which are the final values that flow into all your dashboards and reports. And that's it. The more keyword rules you set up in the Mapping Setup tab, the less manual work you'll need to do each month. Now that we have sample data in the transaction log, let's move on to the profit and loss and dashboards. Here's the profit and loss statement. Enter the year and everything populates automatically. You'll notice a little plus on the left side. The statement defaults to showing your first 7 categories in a condensed view. If you have more than 7, go ahead and click the plus to expand. A warning will appear, but this is one of the few times you can click OK. The first section is the summary profit and loss, organized by main category across all 12 months. Subcategories don't show here, and only the main category totals appear. That's completely by design to keep the statement clean and readable at a glance. Now let's see the transactions we just entered flowing through. We entered a $2,000 income transaction, excluding sales tax, and a $500 expense transaction, and here they are in the July 2026 column. Everything is flowing correctly and net income has been reflected appropriately. Now let's scroll below the net income line. This is where you'll see a cash flow summary showing all transactions that affect your cash but do not impact your profit and loss, including the $2,500 owner's withdrawal we entered earlier. Here's why this matters. A business can look profitable on paper but still be cash flow negative if there were large withdrawals or other cash movements throughout the year. This template shows you both numbers so you always know exactly where you stand financially. Now let's move to the Detailed Profit and Loss tab. This works the same way as the summary view, but now broken down into all your subcategories organized alphabetically within each main category. If we look over at the June column, which is fully populated, you can see General and Administrative is broken down into 8 subcategories, totaling $1,069.22. Now if I scroll back up to the Summary Profit and Loss, you'll see that same $1,069.22 total appearing as one line under General and Administrative. The numbers always agree. The detailed view simply shows you what's driving each one. Now let's move into the monthly dashboard. This is where your data really comes to life. All you need to do is select a month and enter a year, and everything populates automatically. Any month and year you have transactions entered for will show up here. So as your data builds up over time, this dashboard becomes more and more powerful. At the top, you have your key metrics showing total income, total expenses, and net income all compared automatically to the same month last year. No manual prior year lookups needed at all. To the right, you have your monthly net income progress, showing how you're tracking against your budget target for the month. To the left is your income and expense summary, with prior year comparison in a visual chart. And in the middle, you have all your main categories comparing current year to last year at a glance. Now, if you scroll down, you'll see your top 5 income and expense charts and the trailing 15-month summary chart. Since I have June 2026 selected, you can instantly see the last 15 months, going all the way back to April 2025. This is really useful for spotting seasonal trends and any months that need attention. And at the very bottom is your full subcategory detail, ranked from largest to smallest. Now let's take a quick look at the annual dashboard. It works almost exactly the same way as the monthly dashboard. Just enter a year and it shows all 12 months side by side with prior year comparison. It's perfect for your year-end review. I won't go through every chart in detail since the structure is identical to the monthly view, but just presented at a full year level instead of a single month. Let's move on to the 5-year dashboard, which is your long game view. Just enter the most recent year you want to see, and it'll automatically pull the prior 4 years. So if I enter 2026, you instantly see 2022 through 2026 in one view. Simple as that. You'll see category level results, income and expense allocation charts, and your overall performance trends across the full 5-year period. Your best year for total revenue and your best year for net income are also highlighted automatically, so you can see at a glance where your business peaked. This dashboard becomes incredibly powerful as you keep using the template over multiple years and your data builds up. And just like the profit and loss, remember to click the plus sign on the left if you've got more than 7 categories, so everything expands and populates correctly. Now let's look at the Transaction History tab. This allows you to drill into transactions by category, similar to a general ledger in an accounting software. Income categories are on the left, and expense categories are on the right. If I select one of my main income categories, it'll pull all transactions from inception to date across all years. I'll select service revenue as my category, and you'll see all subcategories that roll up into service revenue have populated. Now, if I drill further into implementation services, only those specific transactions show up. You can also filter by year by entering the year directly if you want to narrow it down to a specific period. This is incredibly useful for investigating variances and understanding exactly what's driving your numbers at a detailed level. No manual input is required other than your filter selections. Now let's get into the account reconciliations. This template has 2 options, so let's walk through both. The first is the Account Reconciliation tab. This one works just like a real accounting system. Instead of relying on month-end dates, your reconciliation is based on your actual bank statement dates. So if your statement ends on the 25th of each month, the template automatically pulls exactly the right transactions for that period. Let's go through an example. I'll select July 2026 as the month I want to reconcile. I'll scroll to the far right, select Checking Account from the drop-down. Enter my statement start date and end date of July 25th, 2026. I'll enter my statement balance of $25,826.15 straight from my bank statement. Now, if I scroll back left, you can see all transactions have automatically populated for that exact period. Opening balance, income, expenses, and all cash transactions. The ending balance recalculates automatically, and because it agrees exactly to my statement balance, it shows reconciled. Now let me show you a second account. I'll select my credit card, enter a statement end date of July 20th, 2026, and enter my statement balance of negative $16,136.62. Just a quick note here. Since this is a credit card balance owing, it must be entered as a negative value. You'll see it also shows reconciled immediately since all transactions have been captured correctly. You can reconcile as many accounts as you need for the same month. Just repeat the same steps for each one. Now let's take a quick look at the transactions. you'll see the $2,200 income transaction, including the 10% sales tax, the $500 office supplies expense, and the $2,500 owner's withdrawal that we logged manually in the transaction log. You'll also see the $1,000 credit card payment showing up as a withdrawal from your checking account and a payment toward your credit card balance. And even all of the bank transactions that were auto-mapped from our bank import have populated here as well. Whether you entered transactions manually or use the auto-mapping feature, everything flows into the same reconciliation view, as long as you tag a from or to account in the transaction log. If you selected no assigned account on any transaction, it will still flow into your profit and loss and dashboards, but it will not appear here in the account reconciliation. So if you plan to reconcile your accounts, make sure every transaction has the correct account assigned. One extra feature worth knowing about is the tolerable range. The default is set at $10. Say my credit card statement shows a balance owing of negative $16,000 instead. That's a $136.62 difference, so the template would flag it as unreconciled. But if I change the tolerable range to $150, any variance under $150 will show as reconciled automatically. This is super useful for avoiding unnecessary investigation of small rounding differences that aren't worth your time. And if you want to reconcile to the penny, just set it to $0. That's it for the account reconciliation feature. This tab also includes a few additional views and charts. At the bottom, you have a current view showing real-time account balances as of today. No manual input needed. It just pulls everything automatically so you can see exactly where each account stands right now. And to the left, you have two visual charts showing your inflows versus outflows and your current account balances, plus key summary metrics at the top for a quick overview of your overall cash position. Now let's look at option 2, which is the Accounts Custom tab. This is much simpler to use. Just enter a custom date range and all transactions within that period populate automatically with a calculated ending balance. No statement required, no month selection needed. I'll enter June 26, 2026 to July 25, 2026, and you can see the same transactions populate and the ending balance matches exactly to what we saw in the previous tab. So which one is right for you? If you want a formal reconciliation process that ties directly to your bank statements, go with the Account Reconciliation tab. If you just want a flexible way to monitor cash activity across any period, the Accounts Custom tab is your go-to. You can use one, both, or neither, and just hide whichever one you're not using to keep things clean. Now let's look at the Sales Tax tab. This is optional and only applies if your business collects or pays sales tax. If it doesn't apply to you, just hide this tab. Earlier in the transaction log, you saw where you can enter an optional sales tax rate for each income or expense transaction. The template automatically calculates the tax amount from that rate. The Sales Tax tab then summarizes everything for you. Total sales tax collected on your income transactions, total sales tax paid on your expense transactions, and your net tax position for the year. This makes preparing your sales tax filings much easier, whether you file monthly, quarterly, or annually. Just select the year and everything's already calculated for you. Now on to the final tab. Let's look at the balance sheet. This is a manual monthly input. At the end of each month, once everything's recorded, go ahead and enter your closing balances for all your balance sheet accounts. The template isn't fully automated here, but the good news is you can use the other tabs to populate it. Pull your bank and credit card balances from the Account Reconciliation tab and any other relevant balances from your records. At the bottom is your balance check indicator. It confirms your balance sheet is balanced when total assets equal total liabilities plus equity. Always check this before you close your books at month end. And since this is a multi-year template, the balance sheet doesn't roll forward automatically. At year end, just export a copy for your records, clear the white input cells, and enter your opening balances to start fresh. And that's a wrap on the full multi-year bookkeeping system walkthrough. I know that was a lot, but I promise, once you're set up, it becomes a very simple routine. Log your transactions, check your dashboards monthly, and by year end, your books are ready to go. And that's it. Thanks so much for watching. I hope this template helps you gain clarity and confidence in your finances.